I do not want to say 100%. Few of the percentage maybe they do not follow and they have to pay their penalty. But most of the people, I think, I don't know, it's my observation, the Chinese-based people, culturally, they are very disciplined. It's my observation because I am also from Indian subcontinent. Okay, even we know different culture of Europe and America, but if you observe the deeper understanding of the Chinese culture, let's say Malaysia actually combination of China culture and other things. Even I am academician, I'm engaged with the classroom, so I know that let's say Chinese people always they are early riser, they are very disciplined, they are very concerned about healthcare, their food, and they are very hardworking. So I think this is one of the things it's my understanding. Even the electronic media, even Donald Trump and First World, they are blaming the Chinese community, this that, but my observation, those country are very disciplined in terms of their regular lifestyle and everything, and they are obedient for law, rules, and regulations. Let's say I never see in Malaysia that what I understand, that USA people, they do not like wearing mask. Many people, not everyone, but in Malaysia I do not find that kind of things or culture. I think this is one of the major things. And beside that, yes, healthcare also important. Someone say luck also important. But this is alarming for country like India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, that they are Malaysia closing all of the borders and everything, and Malaysia actually business hub. For them it's a very good business hub. So I think we have to think about that.
I
Yeah,
want to come
Sharif,
back and
very,
ask
yeah.
Dr. Tagu something really quick and everything, because one, we're getting ready to enter here in the United States, I guess all over the world, into flu season, and I think that might be adding into people's concerns about COVID, because there might be trying to get treatment for both COVID and also having the normal flu added into the mix, because we are about to enter into flu season. But you mentioned earlier about stigmatization and how having colon in your part of the world is being stigmatized, and folks are like not wanting to admit that they've got the disease or talk about having the disease. We're not necessarily seeing that here yet. At least I'm not seeing that as much. So I just wondered if you could elaborate a little bit more on that, because I know there are other diseases that are like that. A lot of folks don't want to have their colons examined because of things in our African American and Latin American countries. And I talked to Dr. Fola May about that. So it does exist with certain diseases, but I don't think it's happening with COVID yet. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more of your talk on that and how that's happening over there.
Yeah, yes, Mark, because I have experienced this being stigmatized for the COVID-19. Actually, when the patient is got tested for the COVID-19 positive, so the society also behave like this. Even my all of vendors, they stopped coming for 1 month to my society. So initially they were looking at me as a physician. They were coming for the help. But when I got positive, when I tested positive, so everybody was coming that this home should be isolated. No one should be going. I mean, if passing through the street, this will not spread the COVID-19. And if you isolate whole of the street, that is not good. The home isolation is good, but if you are not even talking on phone also, that is a stigma. And I'm a healthcare worker. I have all facility at my home. But what about the common people? They don't have health facility at home. So they were looking up to the government, but the government was not helping them regarding their health. They were not helping them. So when everybody is cutting them from the society, how will they will be survived? If the mild symptom patient goes to the hospital, then I mean he is going to have other infection also in the hospital. So with the mild symptoms, you are not advised to go to the hospital. You have to stay at home. And if you can get the facility, if you can get the help from the society, I think you can recover well. But if you are stigmatized for the COVID-19, then the government will come, they will seal your house, and nobody would be coming to you, nobody is going to serve you. The vegetables also, even all the vendors, they stopped coming to the houses. So that is not good. We should be making some groups, some NGOs, so that they can help each other. So
Yeah.
that is good for us. If even they can ask them to follow the guidelines also. So if this type of the environment we can make for this COVID-19, I don't think there is any problem if you will get the infection and the infection will pass away. Infection will pass away because the COVID-19, it would not be that much detrimental to you if you have a good immunity and everything is good, and if you're getting the good vibes. If you are stigmatized and you are getting stressed also because
Right.
of that, and while you are stressed, your immunity is also goes down, and your immunity is down, then the recovery is very, very difficult. So that is why you have to be very cheerful on in those times. When you are positive, you should be getting the help from everybody. You should be getting the good food. You should be getting the good air. Everything should be good. Only then you can recover. So that is why I want this stigma to be removed from the society if you want really fight against the COVID-19. And the answer to Sharif, I would like to say that India has stopped their air borders flights, I think, in March, and after that, no flight is coming to India. Even then, we are multiplying the virus. The reason is this virus cannot survive itself. If you keep this virus in the street, it will die after 6 to 7 hours. But this virus needs a human cell. So when we are going there and we are presenting ourselves as a source of life or source of multiplication to the virus, then the virus definitely will come and will get into your cell, and then it will multiply. So the reason for the multiplication or the replication of the virus is ourselves. We are getting infected. We are giving opportunity to this virus not to die but to survive. So that is the only reason.
Yes.
I,
Well, we're
I
at the
just
top of the hour, and I just want to do brief introductions for those who are listening to IBM TV. This is Medical Friday, and we're discussing a very important topic, COVID-19. With us, we have the head of the Health Channel, Ankit Kandlawa from New Delhi, India, and then also Bill Trezevant from Washington, D.C., the Tower of Power. And he also does the Washington Reports for IBM TV and American Politics for people who are interested around the world. For those who are not interested in, real simple, just turn it off. But if you're interested, American Politics with Bill Trezevant. We have Sharif, who runs the Sharif School of Economics out of Malaysia, and he has joined us. He's a PhD scholar. Dr. Sagu, who's a doctor in India, has also joined us. Namaste. Jim Eid with the Eid Foundation in San Francisco, California, has joined us. Mark Lee, who runs the Mark Lee Online Dinner Party on IBM TV, has also joined us. Dr. Tula, we're going to get right to you next from India. Good to have you here on IBMT's Medical Friday. And Rakesh, our scientists. Scientists are generally not allowed on television, but we've allowed Rakesh from Hong Kong to actually show up. As you well know, scientists in the United States have been banned because they produce facts and things like that we're really not interested. As we know, the Young and the Restless is on, or Love Island is coming on tonight, and so listening to medical stuff is Dr. Toole, what is the problem we're having in India right now? We've seen a big spike up in COVID-19. What's going on there?
So the situation is that, see, we've been reading the media reports. So there has been a absolute jump in the numbers. I mean, privy to that must be also the fact that since the reporting or the results of the tests are also delayed, so it can be due to the aggregation of that also. But then, honestly speaking, it is not giving a great picture at the moment. So I think we should be absolutely cautious and take all precautions, because we need to understand that the government is opening up the economy. So the economy is being opened up, and I mean, this is the right time to be absolutely tight with the precautions, because if we do or do little or are complacent, we will end up in a very, very bad scenario. I am not spooking people out, but I don't want us to become an Italy or a Spain. What happened there, I think that is testament to what we should have learned, and we don't want to replicate that in India. And I would like to tell you one thing, which a lot of people are telling, that India, the immunity is good and all that. I can tell you and vouch for it that if things start going wrong, these whole theories will be put in a trash can. So I really believe that we should not get carried away by these stories that we are, I mean, immunity-wise better off than other countries. It is good that we are better off than other countries, but we can't, rest our shoulders on past laurels and just go around our business as normal. We need to be absolutely careful what we are doing and responsible citizens.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the thing is,
Very true.
this thing has become a very serious problem. Now, what about the media portrayal of COVID-19? Like tonight on television, we have The Young and the Restless, we have Love Island, we have Days of Our Lives. Is there any reporting by your media on COVID-19 in India? Do they talk about that at all, Dr. Tula?
So I'll tell you very interestingly what has happened. See, we need to understand that I would refrain to comment on politicians, but unfortunately, see, we need to understand that there is a lot of virulence between, all over the world when it comes to politicians, there is absolutely bitter divide, right? You have the left, you have the right, and you have the center, and everyone is scrambling for their space. What has happened is that all governments have now gone into a damage control mode to kind of project themselves in good light. Unfortunately, we need to understand that this is a pandemic where we need the facts to come out, and it is the treatment or the planning has to be based on solid scientific values, not PR machinery. The problem is that when we start marketing a pandemic by claiming that one state start claiming that I am better than the other, and then they start hiding figures and hiding data and do these manipulations, I think that is something which should be wary about. And as doctors, I believe that we should stand up to it. We should not be partisan to any political group. And if doctors are partisan to these groups, good luck to them. I am absolutely non-partisan to this. I don't believe in this. And I have also one point more to make, because I see a lot of doctors talking, I would say, absolute crap on TV. That is not based
Yes.
on any scientific evidence. See, some people come, they will give their own anecdotal evidence. See, evidence has to be based on literature. You cannot have an anecdotal evidence. You may
Right.
like one politician, I may like another politician, but that doesn't give me the privilege of promoting one politician just because I like that politician. I need to understand that it's just like film stars. You may love one lady, I may like another. That doesn't make it. It's just like we need to understand that, and this is very important as scientific people from background. We should keep our political affiliations aside when talking on this topic. And I am a very, very firm believer on this. I've seen people doing it. I'm sorry, I belonging to the same fraternity should not be criticizing my peers, but this is something which I've seen happening all over the globe.
Yes, Dr. Tula, just really quickly, I had a quick question for you, because one of the things that I'm seeing is that here in the United States, we're seeing folks that are opening up the restaurants and things of that nature. But unfortunately, when I'm seeing them out and about, I'm not seeing them necessarily socially distanced. And they're actually, I know I was near a restaurant and was seeing the patio, and a lot of folks were gathering, and I can tell you they were not 6 feet apart. So could you just let our listeners know globally why that is so important that they do keep that distance? Because I'm seeing restaurants opening, and I don't think that they're following that 6 feet rule at all. They're like literally, I'm thinking they might be maybe 1 feet apart, if that.
So the rule of the thumb is simple. Mark, we need to understand, I think this has been hammered quite a number of times. One, this is an evolving virus. So this virus is going to change. I have again and again reiterated the fact that please understand it is a damn smart virus. Do
Yes.
not underestimate the virus.
Yes.
It's a smarter virus, right? So what it has done for its survival is that it has made us our own immune system our own enemy. So people whose immunity, or I would say that immunity is good, they have antibodies against the virus, they survive it, they don't have any apparent symptomology which is suggestive of a COVID infection, right? But then they are spreaders. We need to understand that they can spread the virus to others. So there are people whose immunity is absolutely low, from where people can get these virus through those people who are supposedly more immune to this virus. And there are the third subset of virus of people who get a kind of hyper immunity against this virus, which again causes their downfall. So we need to understand that it's a very complex thing. And I do agree that sometimes the doctor's views or the scientists' views are conflicting. But we need to understand and give them space for that. Doubting people is not the way out of it. But my only request to my peers, scientist community all across, including WHO, is that please go with facts. Don't try to please business houses, politicians, and all that story and hoopla around it. We are people of science. I believe that God has been kind us with us to give us an opportunity to serve mankind, and we should be strict with that. I mean, all kinds of vices should be abstained from.
I completely agree. I mean, and Dr. Tula, you know that we have started talking about opening up a metro and other things as well. But during this spike, I seriously feel that if we open up the metro trains and other facilities, it will go up like 10x, and that is a cause of concern. And also, I am concerned about what happened in next 4 months, because these are the tests which is like 2 weeks ago. So we have the test, and then we are coming up with number, but we are not sure what is the real number, because it's difficult to have those numbers counted in India. So there's a lot of concerns right now, and we are still very far from the possible vaccine for COVID-19.
So the catch with the metro again is that we need to understand that if the government is, see, of course there is an economic angle to it, and the government is keen on opening the metro. No problem with that, till people follow the rules.
Yeah.
Now, if people themselves are not going to follow the rules, then it becomes imperative on the government to force those rules on the people. And unfortunately, what I've realized is that I really am amused at people that I don't understand what they want. So, are they not worried about surviving? It is something. It just gives me absolutely. When I look at the human race, I am absolutely appalled at the human race at this moment, because they're acting like a bunch of kids who just want lollipops at any cost. Look at the youngsters. And I'm not blaming everyone, but 50% I have seen on the streets, they're not wearing the mask, or they will have the masks in their finger and they're rolling those masks. That is ridiculousness on their part.
Right.
No, certainly.
Penalizing them. I really believe that we should be penalizing them. Unfortunately, you have to be harsh sometimes. I have never been a great proponent of state policing, but here, we are bound to get into that situation only because unfortunately, people are not listening to us.
Well, Dr.
And Dr.
No, go ahead, Ankit.
Dr. Dula, one important discussion also going on about the NEET and JEE exam. And then this is also a cause of concern, because you know that millions of people, go for these exams. And then that there is nothing called SOP or a system to follow during the exams, and you know who is sitting behind you, in front of you, and they might carry those symptoms. So I'm not sure, because a lot of people are saying that this should happen, and some people are saying that this should not happen. It's a matter of 1 year and things like that. So what do you think? What are your suggestions if we are conducting those exams? What should be the SOPs for that?
See, my only thing and takeaway here is that we need to understand that we need to have an evolving consensus. The problem with governments at this time is that they are stubborn.
Yeah.
So they feel that they want this way, they are going this way. So it is my way or the highway, which unfortunately does not. We need to understand that we have to take everyone along, and if people have apprehensions, we need to correct them. Because please understand, India is not like a very developed country, right? Unfortunately, we are still in a developing phase. There are pockets where it is easy to conduct things, and there are pockets where it is not going to be easy to conduct things. So we should take into cognizance all of the factors, and depending upon those factors only, have a strategy. We cannot have an all feet fits all. The same shoe kind of a strategy. We need to diversify the strategy depending upon areas to areas. South of India, north of India, east of India, rural India, urban India, everything, the strategy has to be different. And we need to listen to the doctors also. Unfortunately, I believe at the end of the day, what has happened is the doctors are also now getting polarized into kind of lobbies. So a pro-government lobby and an anti-government lobby. Unfortunately, that's not the way it should be. And I'm sorry I'm saying this on television with a lot of responsibility, but I am telling you that when you go to the WhatsApp group of doctors, it is absolutely pathetic. We cannot be pro or anti-government. We have to be rationalistic.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
As a doctor, you can't be. See, honestly speaking, in India, I'm sure all across the world also, we have patient rights, right? and we have rights to privacy. We have rights for even treating people who are, criminals and all. We cannot refuse to treat them, even if they have done something very horrendous. That is the medical code of ethics.
Okay, well,
So we need to understand and carry with that. You can't just take sides. I'm sorry, but we can't take sides on this.
well, Dr. Tula, how many of your colleagues in India share the urgency with that you are conveying and the immediacy and the seriousness? I mean, is there a growing kind of a non-politically related group from the medical profession that's saying, hey, this is serious, and trying to sound the alarm?
So, Bill, I'm telling you very interestingly, what has happened is you need to understand that every country has that. You have a public sector, that means which is under government control, right? And you have a private sector, which also is some kind of under the influence of government. Because of course, when you are living in a country with a government, you cannot go anti-government, right? But then there are lobby groups which belong to both the public sector as well as the private sector, who are lobbying to the government that, okay, this is what the scenario is and please take cognizance to it. Now, the question again is that the people sitting in the corridors of power, they need to understand and be, sensitive to this. If they are going to be brute, they are going to be brutes, or they are going to just be stubborn and refuse to listen to what is, or don't have their ears to the ground, then you can't help it. They will do all kinds of stupidity everywhere. So that is something, because please understand, there is also a dilemma. I'm not saying that they are not in a dilemma, because the problem is, on one hand, they are getting battered because of the economy. Every news channel is battering the governments all across the world. The governments are being battered for the economy, right? But we need to understand that the balance has to be made. And honestly speaking, we need to survive this pandemic. That is the most important thing. First thing is survival of this pandemic. No one is looking at earning money in this pandemic. If anyone is looking to earn money, good luck to them. I don't think anyone is going to earn money in this pandemic. Unless and until they do black hoarding, or there's some black shit you can do away with something or the other. I don't think anyone is going to earn in this pandemic. We need to understand this is a time for only surviving this pandemic. Whatever we have saved, we will be using that amount of money in this pandemic. We will not be earning too much.
Okay, well,
we need to stay afloat. That is what it is.
Okay, well then, Doctor, we had discussed earlier on the show the issue of vaccines and various things. And Ankit had raised that it might take 2 or 3 type booster shots. What can you tell us about the stage of reaching an appropriate vaccine is in your country, where you're at?
I'll tell you, Bill, what has happened in India is we have basically 2 companies which are in licensing with other giant partners all across the world. So we have Serum Institute of India and we have basically Bharat Biotech. Now the Bharat Biotech vaccine, which is basically an Oxford vaccine, has been taken over by ICMR, which is basically a government body for medical research in India, right? And they are doing the trials. So now there was an interesting thing which happened around a month back when they started the trials. So they were to recruit in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, they were to recruit around 1,000 volunteers for these trials. Unfortunately, what they found out is that maximum patient, they were not suitable for these trials because some had antibodies and some the immunity levels were not great. So ultimately they have managed somehow, and the trials are in progression, but it's going to take time. And plus the most important thing is that, see, apart from these news feeds which are being fed by these so-called spokespersons associated spokespersons of these companies, because these companies people are themselves not coming on television and speaking for the vaccine. So they are these right people who are coming on the television studios and speaking about these vaccines. What I understand from these vaccines is that it will take about these 2 vaccines which I'm talking about. It has been speculated that it is going to take approximately around 28 days for the immunity first to develop. And then they say that the immunity is going to be anywhere between 2 to 3 months. And we are not very sure whether it is going to be 2 months, whether it is going to be 3 months. This is an immunity where we are talking about reinfection. So that means even if you are re-exposed to the virus, you will not get infected within these 2-3 months. But what happens after that? So there is the question, or this coming through, that I mean, we might have to get in with multiple sessions of these booster doses.
Okay, well, Doctor.
No one is sure at the moment.
Okay, well, Doctor, I have one other question, and that is this, and Rakesh, maybe you as well. My understanding is that there are two different strains. There's a European strain, and then there's like an Asian strain. When we talk about vaccinations, are we going to have to get vaccinations for both strains, much like we do every year with the flu? Because each year the flu is slightly different, so we have to get a different vaccine. Is that something the medical community is looking into? And I'd like to hear from both of you, if that's okay.
So, Bill, what is going to happen, I'll tell you very interestingly, what is going to happen is that when we're talking about a strain, so see what happens is 5 to 10 to 15% of strain variation is covered within the vaccine, right? So that means that, but please understand, what are we looking at? So no one of the vaccine group is claiming that this vaccine is going to be 100% effective. So I presume that the best case scenario is going to be a 70%. I mean, that is a very good case scenario if that happens. So I'm looking at something around a 70%. If and that too all is speculation. It may happen, it may not happen, right? And the virus will keep on changing. There is no doubt about that, because the virus is here to stay. So what is going to happen is that over a period of time, because at the moment there are approximately around, across the world, there are around 5 to 6 contenders who are far ahead in the race. Rest, there are people who are still in the process of making, they're in the phase 1, phase 2. So please understand that there will be waves of vaccines which are going to come. So understand that it does not mean that the one vaccine which races ahead is going to be the winner. So maybe the second tier vaccine or the third tier vaccine, which comes over a period of time, will also have its own part in this whole thing. So the vaccines will keep on evolving, and it is not going to be a one vaccine wins all. So that is the scenario at the moment. That is what I feel. This is what is going to happen.
Rakesh?
Yeah, I would say to Dr. Tulla, I have no practical experience with these viruses, but he knows this stuff much better. I think I estimated the time wrong when I said the immunity lasts for a few weeks. Dr. Tulla said it is few months, and I would cede to him on that. I totally agree with what he says.
Wow.
Wow, that's deep.
I think Mark have a question. Mark, you want to ask something?
Oh, I would just I'm gonna say Dr. Tulla said that he didn't see that there was any business that would be making anything from or any kind of economic business that might model or come out of the COVID. But I think I have found one, because it looks like telemedicine is taking off, because I was reading an article earlier today where even telemedicine for pets is taking off. So I was thinking that might be the one industry that might be increasing, is the use of telemedicine, because I saw that even though I think pets aren't necessarily being impacted by COVID, at least I think it's very low amount of pets that are being impacted. It's impacting the pet owners. And I used to be a pet owner sometime back, because they're having to go into telemedicine when they want to get their pets treated, because folks are trying to stay away and do the social distancing and do the rest of that based on the way that they're trying to care for their loved ones, who are the little animals and everything, if they've got those. So I just want to know if you could talk about, Dr. Tulla, whether pets are being impacted, and also about the rise of telemedicine.
So see, we need to understand that I do agree that telemedicine is growing, but look at the offshoot of it. See, where is it cutting into? It is cutting into the face-to-face consultations. So if you look at the totality of it, I don't think it is growing as such. So one part is losing, the other part is growing, right? So when it comes down to the economics of it, I don't think ultimately it is growing. Because if I were a doctor, and let us presume I was seeing X amount of patients per day, and that is, even if I'm seeing a double jump in telemedicine, but previously I was at 0. And now if I'm seeing around 5 patients, still I'm at a loss of 5 patients from the earlier scenario. So I mean, it is, if you were to ask me that whether telemedicine is growing, I would say it is growing. But if you ask me in the total economics of it, whether as a practitioner, your income is growing. I'm sorry, it is not going to grow, and there is no chance it is going to grow. I don't think that is happening. And doctors also have to realize and take a step back, right? This is a great chance to do whatever selfless work you can do, especially people who are relatively well off. I really believe this is the karma time. We should give back to the society. There is a lot of goodwill which the society has given us, and this is a great opportunity to give back. I'm not saying that everyone is well off. There are many doctors who are very much struggling. They're struggling to stay afloat. We should try to help them also. Try to help our brothers in the community also. And we can do whatever we want at the best, so that we can just work around with people, because ultimately we need to help people around. Please do understand, I am again and again telling, this virus unfortunately does not look to be going anywhere. We need to hold hands and tide away this crisis. And my only and only humble request to all citizens all across the world is, please don't fight. You may have your differences, you vote when it comes to voting. There is no need to fight on televisions or social media platforms. You have the power to vote. You can vote the change. Please do that. Calling names or doing this will only add more to the anxiety. I've seen, I mean, in the social media, I am not a great social media fan, because I have seen what I see on social media is absolutely, I believe, this is not the way civilized nations should behave, and civilized citizens should behave. It has come down to virtually, I would say, bad blood kind of relations. And we need to understand that in a pandemic situation, you will become more volatile. The more indoor you stay, the more frustrated you will become, and you will start spitting venom. My only request to people is that please cool down, take a back seat, relax, chill, do things which are good for you, right? And of course, there are people who are not financially well, they will have to venture out. It's okay for them to venture out. But people who can abstain from venturing out, I believe they should not venture out.
But
And
Dr.
even if
Tullah,
I agree.
mission is, even if you don't earn for 1 year, I mean, all hell is not going to break loose, especially to the people who are well off.
That's right. That's right. So, Ankit, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I just have a question for Dr. Tullah. Dr. Tullah, you know that, I mean, this is little bit extended because people are expecting like 3 to 4 months of lockdown and then things will be back in place. But now we are still, after 6 months of time, we are still seeking a peak, spike in India, and it's kind of a peak. As Dr. Sabbu said, it might be peak in next week or so, maybe September end. But the sentiments of people are also not good, who wants to protect themselves and their body, and they are staying at home and following the right precautions. How can we improve the sentiments and make sure that they get the right motivation during this time? Because it's been like 6 months for them, and they're still at home and trying to work and trying to wait the best available time to go out and do all the required things. Because according to, if I talk about my family, everyone is working from home. They are just going out whenever it's required. Otherwise, everyone is at home. But it's been 6 months. So what's your suggestion, or what's your recommendation for those people who are at home and trying to get away from COVID in this scenario?
So, Ankit, I have been in touch with a lot of people who are basically working with multinationals, and the multinationals have clearly told them that work from home, right? There is no need to venture out unless and until it is a dire emergency. But you will be astonished that 50% of them, I'm quoting a 50% figure because I believe that it must be more than that. The people are telling that they are bored at home, they want to go to the office just for a change.
Yes.
So this is not a picnic which is happening. We need to understand that. If you want to treat it like a picnic, man, good luck to you there.
Right.
Well,
Weigh the risk versus the benefit of a few moments of glorification versus could get sick for life and destroy your lungs. Dr. Tullah, I'm so glad you're here. And I miss Dr. Sagu, but I have this interesting question. You know, I'm so concerned about our children, and I know everybody says, oh, COVID cannot affect them. It's not as much as the disease, which I believe it can. It's the effects of COVID from learning at home. So hear me out on this. Before COVID, a child's day began, get up, get dressed. You're moving around, right? Go to the car or go to the bus or walk to school. That's a lot of movements, right? Then you get to school, you walk down the halls to the classroom, you're moving, high five, jumping around, being kids, right? But you're moving, you're walking, a lot of walking. And in some of the buildings we have around here, the hallways are very, very long. And then you go to lunch, and then you go to play. So a lot of people go, well, my kids are going outside and playing a little bit every day, but they're missing all of that movement like I'm missing every day going to my office, right? So what do you think we should do to implement? Because they're all right now, they're rolling out of bed and just sitting, going into the next room and sitting in front of a camera. Let me tell you what this has done to me, okay? I used to get up and move around. I traveled 85% of my life. I moved airports. I was going everywhere. And now I roll out of bed, go to one room, put on my makeup and hair, come and sit in front of this screen all day. I get up, I do my physical therapy, I go do my walking every day, but it's not the same movement. I've put on weight, I don't feel good, I'm tired all the time. So what do you think the impact of this is for our children?
Kim, the thing is that you need to understand. See, I have had a word with a lot of child psychologists and all that. See, and in my personal practice as a capacity of a plastic surgeon, we used to treat a lot of children for deformity. Right now, see, what I am speaking out of experience is that children are very, very adaptive. Right. So what it means is that they are fast learners. And I can assure you that even if for 1 year, if you keep them a little off the social handle, not all hell is going to break loose. Nothing is going to happen. Next year, once they start venturing out, they'll again be at the same platform only. So I think this is an overplay which is being played, that this children are going to suffer and all that. I really believe at the end of the day, what is more important, safety or a little bit of laid back, recession which is going to come in children. That means that they're nowadays with the technology, you can do a lot of stuff. Children themselves I'll be very candid with you. Even I've got kids who are very small. So what has happened is that maximum time goes in school. So the online classes are there. So they're interacting with the children. In the evening, they're having their own kind of sessions and all that. So ultimately, not much is lost. And parents on their side have to do only one thing, that ensure that some amount of physical activity is happening with the children. So they can be made to wear masks, and they can go in for cycling, or they can go on a walk. Keeping social distancing in mind. You do not need them to go into playgrounds. Even if they are going to playgrounds, they can go into playgrounds, maintain distance, even play games together. It is not. See, I am telling you, children are much, much smarter than the elders. I can assure you, I am telling you out of experience, they form better friends. Their social skills are much better evolved than us adults, because we adults keep on fighting. Children will fight one day, the next day they are again back to square one. Yeah. So we need to understand the children are smarter variety. They are much smart, and we need to give them more weightage into this. That okay, I do realize that ultimately there is going to be a lot of screen time. We need to channelize that the screen time has to be basically monitored. Apart from there, see, I do understand some amount of frustration. I do see a lot of kids where they are little frustrated, but we need to keep on counseling, and we need to keep on working around them. Honestly speaking, I don't think that there has been a sea of change in this children, because I have small kids, and I don't feel that they are well adjusted to what is happening. Because in fact, I would like to tell you one interesting thing, that I may venture out a little without my mask. My kids tell me, please wear the mask and go.
There you go. Children are resilient, and I agree with you 100%. And they're going to probably coach us more and teach us more. Again, my concern is the amount of movement they are losing in a day, sitting in front of a screen that's in the next room, where they have lost all of that movement going to and from places, walking down hallways. I'm not concerned so much about them getting sick. My concern is about that level of movement that has now been reduced. And agree, you're a good parent, Dr. Julian. There's a lot of good parents on our program, and they make sure their kids go out and walk through the woods. So all of this is good, but we've lost a lot of movement. And I'm finding now that I'm going to start moving like I did every day when I had to go to an office. I'm not going to really go to that office, but I'm going to start programming myself that I move around as much as I did that day. Work on
program. They make sure their kids go out.
we've lost it. I feel like we've lost a lot of movement. But I agree with you. The children are resilient and they'll figure out a way to do what's right, not just for the parents, but for themselves. But I like your cool down talk. I always love your cool down talk. So chill out. You told me that one day. You told me, Kim, put some ice on your head.
It is very interesting. I'll tell you very interestingly what happens is that children notice what you are doing. So when you are around with children, if you are angry, they will tell you. They will tell you what's the matter. So they are great psychologists.
Yes, they are.
In fact, it's the other way around. The children counsel you more than you are counseling the children.
Yes.
I'm sure Ankit has a small daughter. I'm sure he must be counseled at least 100 times by his daughter. Am I right there, Ankit?
No, certainly, and she's also very protective because whenever I go out and I have to tell her that why I'm going out and what time I'll come back, because she takes a track of what I'm doing, and if I'm late for half an hour, she calls me, "Where are you?" So she knows that we are in a corona pandemic and how we need to take care of elders and things like that. And I have to tell her that if I'm going out, you have to protect the family. So she's like, "Okay, you have to take this and that and all this stuff."
Is she GPS
So that's what.
tracking you? Is she GPS tracking you?
It's all in the brain.
Reverse parenting. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's how
God.
we train. So she's following the
Yes,
same
there
lines,
are,
basically.
I have only two things in life which I have realized. One, women are the smartest, and number two, kids are smarter than elders.
Yes.
Dr. Tula, I wanted to ask you the same question: whether kids are smarter or women are smarter? If you compare
That is very difficult to answer that question because both are lovable people. You can't make a choice between both of them. But generally speaking, this is what I believe, that women are smarter and you should follow women. When they give you sane advice, and 9 out of 10 it is sane advice. 1% it's always, look at the men around you, what are they doing? So you've seen what they're doing around. So I really believe that, and you should take advice from kids also. So if you take advice from kids, 9 out of 10 they will give you good advice. You won't follow it, or you will be too arrogant or haughty to not listen to them. But I can assure you that children generally give very good advice.
Yeah.
Dr. Tula, I would like to ask you a question before we get to our sponsor, Lynn, who just popped in. And it's not really a question, it's a statement. Because of you and IBM TV, I now take turmeric, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and my wife cooks with garlic a lot. And so those are all those recommendations I got from IBM TV, and many of them from you. So along with prevention, like wearing a mask,
don't worry about it,
boosts your immune system as well. And so my question is, am I accurate in what I've just said?
Yeah, Jim. See, at the end of the day, Jim, the most important thing is that you should eat healthy, right? So there will be biases and all that. See, at the end of the day, that is very important, that spices are essence of life. So all the spices which you have basically enumerated, they are good because they offer a lot of protection. Apart from there, the most important thing is that you, and you are a very cool guy. I know that. I've been interacting with you a lot. You're absolutely cool. You're cucumber cool, which is very important, right? Which is very important because please understand that stress is your biggest killer at this moment. So you should try and remain as much as stress-free as you can. Spend a lot of time with your near and dear ones. Laugh a lot. Enjoy. I do understand that this is a pandemic going. It is very difficult to do that. But see, the less you think, the better you are going to be, because you will be uncluttered. So think less, do more, think less, and enjoy.
So looked like Dr. Tula just co-signed to what I said, because I just told in chat Jim that he was the doctor of cool. So that's why he's on the doctor show, because he's the doctor of cool, and Dr. Tula just co-signed on my assignment of Jim as the Doctor of Gold.
So
He is. He is.
does anybody know why I put my mask on?
No,
Computer viruses.
No, because now Jim is eating a lot of garlic, and I'm really concerned that we're so he's going to transmit it over the computer. So good, Jim did it right. He just turned it inside out so that now. Oh, wait a minute, that's backwards.
Oh yeah, I did it backwards. You're right, Lynn.
Yeah, you did it backwards, Jim.
I want to say something about mask. Okay, when all of this came out, and of course you get all of these pathetic people who go, "I can't wear a mask that long, I can't breathe," and you get the people who claim it causes lung diseases and all of these goofball things. Well, without you can definitely get a lung disease, but. Hear me out, people. I have an issue, a psychological problem with things up against my face as well. When I heard about this, I slowly built up to wearing a mask, and here was my mindset. I've had doctors who operated on me for 8 to 12 hours. They wear a mask. I don't see them passing out. I don't see them getting lung diseases from the mask, and I certainly don't see them having problems breathing. Learn to wear your mask properly, and guess what? You can breathe, okay? And if you have psychological issues like I did, do it a little at a time every day. Eventually, I built up. I wore it for 12 hours. Well, no, I actually wore it for 40 hours the other day while I was at the ER. I wore it for 40 straight hours. Okay? They wouldn't even let you take it off once they put you in the hospital bed. You have to wear your mask the whole time you're there.
Wow.
So there's no, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the funnest thing in the world. Your mind plays a little issues with you if you're not used to it, but doctors do it. And believe me, if it wasn't healthy, doctors wouldn't be doing it. So I don't want to hear any more of these excuses of it causes lung diseases, it causes asthma. I don't want to hear that. Okay, because if it caused all of this, certainly a lot of doctors have asthma. I'm sure they do. Okay, they wear their mask. It's not killing them. It's not going to kill you. What's going to kill you, could kill you, is that disease, a virus, and especially if it's mutating. I'm going to get off my soapbox now, and Kit.
Well, Kimberly, I have to warn everybody, all our viewing audience, is stay on Kimberly's good side.
Oh, yes.
I learned
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I'm just
we need to get to our sponsor, because our sponsor is somebody that's very important to us, and he keeps us lights going. I think Kimberly is one of the main reasons that our lights are going. So I'm going to toss it over to Lynn, because I think we've only got a few minutes, and I'm tossing it over to Lynn.
So thank you very much. I love getting on with Dr. Tulip because I always learn something. And so now I understand that he thinks not only women are the smartest people in the world, but apparently kids are too. So we have to pay attention to women and kids. And I guess that puts us in third place, doesn't it, Dr. Tulip? But that's okay. We're fine. So let's talk about the our online dollar store. The link is family.dollarstore.com. But you don't have to worry. Remember that. You just go to IBM TV, click on the big green button, as it says at the bottom of the banner underneath my face, and just click on the big green button. If you happen to be colorblind, don't worry about that. It's big and round. We have over 4,300 items, and there are lots of really, really good items. We're not cheap. We're inexpensive. We have Johnson & Johnson products. We have Fisher Price. We have Dove soap. We have, just a Crest toothpaste. We have lots of stuff. So just go on, shop, and basically when you do that, you're supporting Money Masters PBS, because that's why we're here. We're here basically to support the mission of Money Masters PBS, which is to narrow the gap between poverty and financial sustainability by providing financial education, which results in financial fitness. So when you shop at our store, you're actually taking care of doing two things that relate to financial fitness. There are 5 aspects, but number one is saving money, And number two is you're paying forward, because when you shop at our online dollar store, you are contributing to Money Masters PBS, and you're contributing to the mission. So there are lots of things that you can save on. 4,300 products. There's one which is an eyeliner, and it costs $67 at Amazon plus shipping. You can get it for $4.99 at our store. And if you buy other stuff, shipping is free for orders of $25 and over. But the most important thing is, because Kimberly was on her soapbox talking, and I love it when you're on your soapbox, Kimberly, because you talk about important subjects. But we have face masks, and look at Jim. I mean, and Kimberly has her face mask on, and I'm going to put mine back on. Oh, Paul has his. So, and I'm sure Dr. Tula will find his, because of dealing with patients. He needs to wear his. But here's the thing. For $25, you can get 50 masks. And Kimberly's putting up the website. So you can see there are lots of things. And we're going to rely on Jim at 50 masks for $25. Jim, how much? Oh, see, Dr. Tula has his too.
Bill knows the answer to that one.
Oh, Bill knows the answer?
Oh, please, Jim. I don't want to take your job. Go ahead.
Oh, I saw you last time. You knew the answer.
Well, I know you know the answer. I can tell you it's inexpensive, and it is 50 cents.
Okay, good. Now, because you sign up to become a customer, you're immediately going to get $5 worth of gift tokens. Okay, $5. And gift tokens are just like gift cards. So you're going to be able to immediately save an additional $5 when you shop. So now these masks are going to cost you $20. So how much is that per mask, Bill?
Jim, your turn.
I've got the next one. You can feel this one.
It's 40 cents, Lynn.
Okay, great. And now, because you're going to sign up before the end of September, we're giving an additional $5 worth of gift tokens. So now it's going to, you've got $10 worth of gift tokens. It's going to be, and Jim has it, 30 cents. Because it's going to cost you $15 free shipping. You saved money, and you're supporting Money Masters PBS, so which owns IBM TV. So why not shop at the gifts at the dollar store? We have great things like cookies. We have all sorts of beauty products. We have, and I'm going to take off my mask for a second. We have all sorts of CBD products. We have these CBD patches that have lidocaine in them that people can put on their backs. Jim, because he's a chess player, he put them on his arm because moving chess pieces is very stressful on the arm. But most importantly, we have Minion napkins. And Kimberly started the Minion Napkin Club. And because of it now, we're all joining the Minion Napkin Club. So unfortunately, Dr. Tula and Ankit, we can't ship to India yet. That's going to happen because we're working on a store in India. But you can both become customers, get your $5 of gift tokens. You know people here in the United States, and you can give your gift tokens to people that you know. No, not Jim, not Jim. Okay, we actually have blocked Jim from getting more gift tokens. So I'm going to put mine back on because I feel like I'm out of the club now. So anyway, it's important because we want people to shop. We want people to support IBM TV and support Money Masters PBS, support the mission. And the other thing, and you can do three things if you're familiar with what happened with Hurricane Laura down in Louisiana in Lake Charles. Well, find a mission that's down in Lake Charles, order some stuff, have it shipped to their address. Now you're supporting that mission, which is helping the people in Lake Charles. You're supporting Money Masters PBS, and you're saving money. And when you do that, of course, Kimberly, there are 5 aspects. 1 is save money. 2 is invest the money, because and now you have enough money to pay for your essentials. Okay, you'll also be able to pay taxes, and you can pay forward. So I got them out of order, but that's okay. There are 5 aspects. So do we have it all?
Yes.
You got it all, Lynn.
Okay, and there's one more reason to wear a mask, at least for Jim too, because I don't want us to get computer viruses, and so we need Jim to keep his mask on to keep all of us from getting computer viruses. I mean, even Dr. Tula might get one. So,
Dr. Tula.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I did notice something really great. And I know we got to get ready to wind up, but I noticed something really great that just took place. And since Kim was talking about kids and kids lessons that they teach us and lessons that we need to teach them and everything, we just saw a vital lesson that took place right now, because I saw that Jim was a little bit concerned because he was being upstaged and everything. But Bill and Jim actually worked on that great concept called teamwork, which is what we're all about here on IBM.TV. So that was great teamwork that actually just took place.
Yeah.
So just have to give everybody a shout out on the amazing teamwork that I just witnessed.
Well, yeah,
I told Bill to do that.
Here's the thing: we got each other's back, and it's not just on the show on a daily basis. You have no idea what we do behind the scenes, what goes on after hours. We are pushing to run 24 hours a day, so people are not taking off during their evening or late morning or early morning hours, like some of the people are doing. Even Dr. Tula is joining us later in the evening. So, and we appreciate it. But we're going to be opening up time slots and running 24 hours a day to make all of this more reachable to other people and more, just more comfortable for our worldwide guests. But Dr. Tula is more than a guest; he's family. He's been with us. I don't get to see him very often, but he has been with us since the very beginning. When we first started, and he's the one who has given us the stay calm, call your doctors, do smart things, eat right. We've learned so much from you, Dr. Tula. My whole way of eating changed. My whole way of doing things have changed. Like Jim had talked about, the vitamins that I add every day that I didn't think about, and these are good conversations to have. They're realistic. And I want to tell everybody, nothing's planned on this show. We do a lot of homework. We each do a lot of homework, but none of this is ever planned, is it, Dr. Tula?
No, never.
Now you can dial in, you join in right there. This is the conversation we have. So what are some, you were very passionate earlier, and I know that a lot of things are happening. What are some other things we could do to help reduce the stress on the medical physicians today?
I forgot to mention one that Dr. Tula told me is when I drink my water now, it's room temperature. And you can see, I think, some basil leaves in it. So every morning, I start my morning with a room temperature glass of water with basil leaves in it.
And I do mine with cinnamon in the water. So there you go.
I add a little alcohol.
Thanks to Dr. Tula.
Yeah. You add a little water to your alcohol. Add a little water.
I wait an unopened bottle of vermouth over my cold gin.
Bartender, I'll have some whiskey and water and hold the water, please. No, add some basil. Whiskey, water, basil, ginger.
There you go. Yeah.
And
gargle with it deeply.
That's right.
See, this is the best thing which you can do. You have a bunch of people around you who are laughing, who are absolutely jovial, and I think if you start your day with this kind of a laughter, I think it makes your day.
Yes, it does. And actually, it's a great way to end the day too, right? And we are at 1 o'clock. Financial Fridays has started, and we're going to wrap and thank everyone for joining us on IBM.TV. And, you know, to remember that tomorrow is our spiritual day, which is a great day to refocus yourself and balance yourself back with Mother Earth. That's what we do. We calm down, we chill out, we pray. And it's all non-religious based, people, and which is the way it should be. But we work together to bring out the good messages and just to relax a little bit. Like, and Dr. Tula said, laugh a little bit. We do laugh, but here's our ambassador.
और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
And you know, folks, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow or on Financial Fridays next.